All right, good morning, guys. Today in social studies or individuals and societies, I'm going to do it on this day in just a second, and then I'll do a short little review of the points that we went over yesterday for your comic strip, and then I'll just review some things about your comic strip, and then you'll have the rest of the period to work. That is due tomorrow, okay? No matter what, that's due tomorrow. So please don't forget about that. Make sure it's in your binder reminder. It's up on the board and it's on my website. So be prepared, please. Okay. So on this day in history, A Christmas Carol is published in 1843. Now, most of you, or I hope most of you, have probably seen some version of A Christmas Story, A Christmas Carol. It's quite a popular book, play, movie, all of the above. I was watching TV last night and saw a new version of this coming out on some cable channel. But Charles Dickens' classic story, A Christmas Carol, was published. He often wrote about the mistreatment of children and debtors due to his experience with such thing. His dad had experienced something where they had, like, a debt collector came to their house, and so he wrote about the things he knew about, which is, that's what a lot of people do. Some of Dickens' most notable works are Oliver Twist, Great Expectations, and A Tale of Two Cities. I guess Oliver Twist is probably the other one you might know. A Christmas Carol tells the story of Ebenezer Scrooge, who was a debt collector, and then he is eventually visited by ghosts from Christmas past, future, and present. When you're in 7th grade next year, you actually read like different versions of A Christmas Carol, which is pretty interesting. It was a good one last year. And the story has been retold and republished in a variety of so many different ways. I think in 7th grade, you read it as a play and a graphic novel and one other way. But it's also a movie. I think there's a Muppets version of it, which is funny. There's a version with Jim Carrey. I think it's like a weird animated kind. Kelsey Grammer, that one's live, like real people, older though. So lots of different versions of this. Also, I know some of you are in drama. They did A Christmas Carol last year for the drama presentation. Okay, so let's talk about what your expectations are for class today. So the main points are up on the board. I had to move them over a little bit so I could fit stuff for literature and language. So I didn't get into lots of detail on the points, but you should kind of have at least an idea if you see the points up on the board. I know 3rd period, a lot of you wrote them down, but make sure, remember the guidelines are to hit the history of the Israelites. Okay, it's the history that builds into what will soon be Judaism. Okay, so let's see. You're supposed to, some of the guidelines that are in the directions on the comic strip worksheet you have are to have the history of the Israelites from Egypt to the Promised Land. Okay, so you could start with Joseph becoming powerful in Egypt, and then eventually the Israelites become enslaved, and then the Exodus. Or you could start with the Exodus and get a little deeper into the history, whatever you would like to do. You have to have color. Let me say that one more time. You have to have color, because last night I was looking at some of remember how we did the PowerPoint where you had to draw a picture and then answer the questions after I read something to you? Well, a lot of you guys didn't color that, and that was what we did in class last Friday. So that kind of irritated me last night looking at that. So please pay attention to what I'm saying, and you have to color this, okay? And you have to have dialogue. Remember, those are the little bubbles that'll be someone speaking. Some of you yesterday were asking about captions for like what your scene is. That's fine, but you still have to have dialogue, okay? And then Another guideline was it needs to be in chronological order, and then it needs to have important people, places, and events. Okay. I think that, see, there's a rubric on the back. It's 25 points. There's creativity, content, neatness. So make sure those of you that sometimes struggle with the neatness portion, make sure you slow yourself down and write so that I can see what you're doing. Okay. I will see you guys tomorrow. Be good. Get your stuff done today, please. And make sure you're on task.